and now it's looking like it could be an absolute monster. We're ready. We have the best people in the world ready, and they're going to help you. We're shipping food, we're shipping water, but it may be that you're going to evacuate. We're going to see what happens. We're waiting. It does seem almost certain that it's hitting dead center, and that's not good.
On this episode of Just Informed Talk, was there much more to Hurricane Dorian than we may have even realized? And was there a dastardly plot to push that hurricane into a United States nuclear facility in order to pull off an incredibly disastrous false flag attack? And was it thwarted by President Trump and military intelligence? We're going to take a look at the facts and the speculation, and you guys are going to want to stick around and check out that plus a whole bunch more. Hi, I'm Craig, and welcome to another episode of Just Informed Talk. I always begin by saying thank you to everybody who has hit that subscribe button. If you haven't, please come here, click the big red subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell for notifications so you get notified when these videos get posted. Of course, we always go over and check the Q board. 3570 is where we last saw Q post on August 1st. It is now September 7th, and we are going to be waiting for new Q posts as we expect the 8chan website to be coming back online within the next week. So, with that being said, we have a whole bunch to talk about here tonight, but most importantly, the big story. There is an incredible theory that is going around that speculates so much more about Hurricane Dorian that we may want to dig further on. I'm going to present it to you for you to make your own mind up. But before we do that, I always encourage everyone, look, come back here, watch these videos, share them on your social media, because we all know what's happening. There is an ongoing effort to suppress content, including the content that is created on this channel for your consumption. So if you want to help keep this channel alive and you want to help fight the illegal Orwellian suppression tactics that these big tech companies are using, hit the share button. Go find it. It's at the bottom of this video. Go watch these other videos and share them too. And if you're scratching your head, go, what is cute on the Great Awakening? Watch this video, share it on your social media, get the word out that way. And don't forget, a new part of their suppression is this reformatting of the subscriber count on YouTube channels. This is obviously just so they can manipulate the numbers without people being able to actually see. So now they've shortened it so you can't see the actual number of subscribers. You only get a rough estimate. So another thing that we're having to go up against here with these, big tech authoritarians, but we're going to persevere. So with that, we're going to start off with this story. Why are we starting off with this story? Because I think it is very interesting that this all happened. But it's saying an Air Force jet accidentally fired a rocket, I should say, into the Arizona desert, where apparently no one was injured. But it's an interesting story nonetheless. A phosphorus smoke rocket, which is one of those ones that explodes and you see the white smoke everywhere, and it's obviously releasing phosphorus, which is very high heat. This rocket was unintentionally released by a single Warthog jet over the Arizona desert. Now, my question is quite simple. We all know what's happening in Arizona as far as trafficking goes. We've had people that have documented this thoroughly, that there are trafficking lanes all over that state, and that a lot of the people who cross the border illegally end up getting smuggled into Arizona, through Arizona to the rest of the United States in sex trafficking and human trafficking operations. Now, my question is, I wonder how many empty, abandoned cement factories might have been just sitting near where that rocket happened to have landed and exploded. Just throwing it out there. Obviously, if anybody saw that, they would have to have a cover story like this to put out to say it was an accidental, unintentional release. But maybe something that shouldn't have been there now is no more. We're going to put it that way. Just thought I'd start there with that story. Now, here's another one. The founder of Snopes. Now, if you guys don't know what Snopes is the fake news on steroids. It's a website that takes every piece of fact that is presented in exposing the extreme left and basically tries to explain away any facts or irregularities or coincidences by saying that it's created by far-right trolls and so on and so forth. So it's basically a propaganda website run by the extreme leftists. Well, It turns out that the arbiter of morality here, the founder of this truly noble and moral pursuit of Snopes, has been embezzling almost $100,000 to pay for prostitutes during his nasty divorce. I don't like to get into personal stories like this, but let's just put it this way. The least you could do, if you're going to make a website that is the proponent of being the moral superior to everyone else, try not to be just a complete scummy, scumbag. Just try not to do that. Because the reality is, nobody wants to know about this guy's personal life. I could give two, what's less. But when you create a website that purports yourself to be the arbiter of truth and morality and what's good in society, just, for the love of what, please try not to be a complete and utter terrible human being. That's definitely gonna make it on Snopes. I'm sure they'll write a whole article about this video and say, founder of Snopes is not a complete terrible human being. That's a false statement. So I can't wait to see it on Snopes, because Snopes is known for giving us such incredible news, such as, is Tom Selleck a Trump supporter? Apparently not. Yeah. But then they do other things that are obviously politically motivated hack jobs. And that's the propaganda machine, but that's the people running it. So just remember, when you think of Snopes, think of this guy and his $100,000 in prostitutes, and I'm sure you'll rethink using that website. Now, here's a story that I have to cover because I think everybody knows this at this point. What happened on that day in New York City in September? Back in 2001, when the two towers fell. But we had a third tower fall that nobody really reported on too much, Tower 7. Apparently a fire started in the building, and then the building just collapses. But anybody who is like half logical, alive and breathing, if you have a pulse and you're not, and your IQ is above like 70, you can see very clearly from the videos that not only did Tower 7 fall in what would appear to be a free fall, but there is new video that's come out. And granted, I'm going to be the first to say this. Take this video with a grain of salt, because we all have heard all the news stories about deep fakes and all this stuff. But there's video that seems to come out to show that there were multiple explosions in Building 7, in Tower 7, before it collapsed. Now, I'm only asking this question because I've always contended that that building did not come down from a fire. I mean, you would have to literally have the intelligence of a child to believe that. Now we have a study that's come out. And this is apparently a very well conducted study that shows that fire did not bring down Tower 7. Now what they're saying, and you gotta hear this for yourself, their conclusion is pretty incredible in what they say here. What they're saying is that, this is a quote I think from the study here, where they say, fire did not cause the collapse of World Trade Center 7 on 9/11. Contrary to conclusions of NIST and private engineering firms that studied the collapse, the secondary conclusion of our study is that the collapse of World Trade Center 7 was a global failure involving near simultaneous failure of every column in the building. So let me break that down for you in case you're struggling to figure out what they're trying to say. They're saying that every supporting column in that massive skyscraper failed simultaneously. I mean, anyway, that's the only way it could have fallen in free fall. If you think about it, there's no way fires caused that building to collapse. And this study seems to say that. Now, I'm no engineer, and I will I'll put a disclaimer on everything to say I'm not an expert in structural integrity of buildings or, engineering or whatever. But I do have eyeballs, and I can see what happened. And if you've watched any film of any demolitions, you'll see very quickly that that building fell in free fall. And I'm going to show you this clip right now of the actual, what appear to be priming charges, which would be destroying those central columns, going off just before the collapse. But I'm just saying that that's what it looks like. And again, big disclaimer on all this. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an expert. I'm simply a citizen who has eyeballs, who saw a building collapse that was, blocks away from where the actual towers fell. And there's been so many rumors. Let me just say, before we watch the video, there's been so much speculation that the documents contained inside the offices of that building, which there were many different federal offices inside of that building, contained evidence of corruption and evidence of crimes being committed by politicians in our country that they may have wanted to get rid of. So watch this clip.
Go ahead.
So now that you've seen the video, I'm going to leave this article in the description. You guys can go find that link if you want to read it and you want to read more about this study. But I'm simply asking the question as a logical, rational human being who understands what happened that day. I just don't understand. I mean, I'm sure Snopes has written a dozen articles on how this is all fake and false, but you see it for your own eyes. I mean, you saw it right there. It fell in free fall. So now you have to ask the questions: if it was demolished, who put the demolition charges in? Who wanted to take down that building? What was inside that building that needed to be destroyed? Was the events of that day just an excuse to get rid of that building, or was it something even bigger? I mean, look, I'm not going to get into all of that because that's a whole nother rabbit hole for a whole nother video that we'll get into, I'm sure, down the line. But you just got to ask these questions now, especially given everything that we continue to find out. It's like, and then they want to censor you from having a conversation just for asking these kind of questions. Who knows? You'll probably see a little thing from Wikipedia at the bottom of this video talking about how everything's all hunky-dory and just trust the narrative. Don't listen to this guy. I'm sure. Yeah, that's where we're at. Here's one, Jim Watkins. This is the man who owns 8chan, the website where Q posts, going in to testify in private session in front of Congress wearing what appears to be a ginormous Q pin on his shirt collar. I wonder if any of the senators or representatives who were interviewing him while he testified, I wonder if they asked him about his pin. I wonder if they asked that question. That would be interesting to know. Now, speaking of terrifying and ominous things, this is just, you can't get over this. I can't get over this. So what's scarier than a killer clown? This is from the NSA. They just put this out. Now, killer clown obviously is referring to that movie that just came out, It Chapter 2. I don't watch that kind of garbage, that kind of horrible, sick stuff. It's graphic and gruesome, and I think it's just meant to desensitize and to traumatize children and to desensitize adults. And it's sick programming what they do with these movies these days. But they asked this question: what's scarier than a killer clown? Not following your best practices for keeping your information safe and secure. So this is kind of like a tongue-in-cheek way of saying you need to get your passwords and everything set up and keep your cyber security, tight. But killer clown, they put hashtag killer clown. Now, I don't know about you, but I know some clowns who may have been involved in some pretty nefarious, evil type stuff. Huh, interesting. So perhaps this is a tongue-in-cheek way of calling out the clowns. And if you guys don't know who the clowns are, I'll give you one hint. It's the first letter of each of these words in order. The clowns in action. If you can put that together, then you might know what clowns we are referring to here and what they are referring to. Speaking of killer clowns, let's get right into this theory. Another one from 3 Days, 3 Nights. I want to say thank you to them. Check out their Twitter page. God bless them. They do great work. Christian, patriot, I mean, I'm really thankful that they're doing the work they're doing, and I'm privileged to be able to share it with you. So let me just share this with you, and you guys make your own mind up. So what their theory and their contention is this. They're saying, how do you know, or how do you nuke a country without them knowing they were nuked? If a Cat 5 hurricane hit a nuclear plant dead center at the exact same time an underwater nuke was set off next to it, would the resulting nuclear meltdown look like Chernobyl Fukushima incident? All right, we're getting there. We're getting into it. 2, these are questions about Dorian. So these are just questions before anybody starts freaking out. We're just asking questions. Did CNN knowingly schedule the timing of its Wednesday 9/4/19 climate crisis town hall to coincide exactly with the expectation of a radioactive fallout cloud from a nuclear meltdown at the Port St. Lucie nuclear power plant? You decide. I'm just asking. That's what he's saying. 3, did you know that on Sunday, August 25th, 2019, all the early Dorian tracks showed a promising young hurricane that was estimated to strike the Port St. Lucie nuclear power plant, PSL. Remember that, PSL, Port St. Lucie. It's a town that is almost exactly halfway between, I'm going to say like Miami and Daytona. I would say it's almost exactly in between those. On the east coast of Florida, it's right off I-95. But it's saying, could that have been their, I'm saying, did the track show it hitting Port St. Lucie? Now, Port St. Lucie does have a very large nuclear power plant that powers a large section of South Florida. It says, what are the odds that on Sunday, August 25th, while Dorian was a small storm, that the MSM would leak a story that Trump said he would nuke a hurricane to stop it from hitting the U.S.? Did Trump's NSA have intel that they were planning a false flag weather event? I mean, this is a good question to me, because think about what the news did say. We had talked about this in previous videos. They were saying this story came out suspiciously just before this hurricane really came to full strength, and they were talking about nuking a hurricane to stop it. Well, why would they want to nuke a hurricane? Possibly because they knew the hurricane was being created and steered toward a certain destination. It's a question to ask. So we're asking these questions, and I'm just leaving it to you guys to kind of put this together and chew on it, and you tell me what you think down in the comments. It says, Dorian was growing larger, and on Tuesday, August 27th, would you be surprised to learn that CNN released the schedule for its climate crisis town hall to fall on Wednesday, September 4th, just a day or two after the estimated destruction of Florida? Opportunistic, perhaps? I don't know. Leaving it to you. Wednesday, August 28th, Dorian passed directly over Epstein's torture island. Were they trying to destroy evidence? Were they trying to harm Puerto Rico because they needed money? Did we attempt to counter attack to weaken Dorian to protect evidence? This is getting pretty crazy, and it gets crazier here. On Thursday, August 29th, the CIA tweeted, we're in the business of anticipating things before they happen, #PSL. Then they showed a pumpkin spice latte. I remember we talked about this on the channel, I think, or I saw it. I can't remember, but it says, what if CIA was signaling that they knew Dorian was a weapon headed straight for Port St. Lucie? Obviously, we have the good CIA now under Trump. We had previous CIA under Obama. So there's two kind of factions there. So let's not get these confused. But it's complicated. 8, were you aware that on August 29th, Trump received his Dorian weather briefing with the first map showing a dead center strike on Port St. Lucie? We now have Trump's nuke comment along with PSL target and the CIA using the PSL term. 3 things. So they're starting to come together. Friday, August 30th, Trump cancels his trip to Poland and retreats to Camp David for the weekend. Trump makes a remark about a dead center hit several times. Was Trump required to go to Camp David because of nuclear threat at Port St. Lucie? Now, I had mentioned this in the previous video. President Trump canceling his trip, going straight to Camp David. We all know that there's a very, very complex bunker and situation room at Camp David where the president can basically do anything. And with that, think about, does all this timing start to make sense now as we look back? That's the question. The next one here says, imagine a Cat 5 hurricane striking dead center on Port St. Lucie. Now imagine a pre-staged sunken container from a ship or a mini-sub following the storm detonating a nuke underwater right next to PSL. Could this create the illusion of Fukushima meltdown? I mean, this is a very good question. And I'm not saying that this is true or this is what happened, but this is a question. What are the odds that suddenly on September 1st, as Trump calmly urges from Camp David that Dorian's storm forecast would project a northward turn after hitting the Chinese and Maersk ports in Freeport, did we counterattack Dorian right back at them? Well, that would be interesting if we pumped up the hurricane, ran it right into their port, destroyed their billion-dollar ports, and then kept the hurricane from making landfall. That would be an interesting thought. Trump's military would never risk an innocent person's life unless we had to save millions of innocent lives. Was our military forced to stall Dorian on Freeport on Monday, September 2nd to permanently eliminate their ability to cause a nuclear meltdown at Port St. Lucie? It's a question. It's definitely a question. All right, here we go. It says, on Tuesday, September 3rd, Dorian makes the miraculous turn north. While downgrading from Cat 5 to Cat 2, ask yourself, have you ever seen a Cat 5 hurricane stop in its tracks for 36 hours, then turn harmlessly north while barely touching our coastline? Odds? I don't know what the odds are on that because I'm not a meteorologist, but I'll tell you what, I've been watching hurricanes for quite some time, and I've never seen that. I've never seen a Category 5. I mean, it's not there's many hurricanes to see that are Category 5, but it's something I've never seen before. And I think everybody who watched that was pretty much watching it in awe, watching that storm stop, almost like it hit the brakes 100 miles from the coast of Florida and then just turns north or whatever, 20 miles from the coast of Florida. I don't know. On Wednesday, September 9th, Trump's map has a marker hand drawn in Alabama. What if Trump is signaling that he knows they plan to detonate a nuke next to PSL right behind the storm to create a massive fallout cloud that would extend all the way to Alabama? Well, hypothetically, if a bomb of that nature were to be set off, the hurricane would carry all of that radioactive material over its path and it would rain it down on people and it would be devastating. I mean, it would be catastrophic beyond anything you could ever imagine. Wednesday, September 4th, we have the CNN Climate Crisis Town Hall with all 10 Democrat candidates. Great timing. Is it possible they were expecting to gleefully discuss the destruction of Florida along with a nuclear meltdown and fallout cloud drifting to Alabama? I wonder. How can you explain this image where they renamed Alabama as Mississippi when showing Dorian warnings? Was this code to warn their producers to drop any prepared references of a mass exodus of people to Alabama that were fleeing for their lives? I don't know. I don't even know, right? Again, would it be convenient for them if a climate crisis storm was blamed for poisoning the red counties in North Florida and radioactive material while making Disney off limits for evidence gathering like Chernobyl? Wasn't that on Netflix recently? That'd be a pretty dastardly thing to do. Again, here, finally, it says, on Thursday, September 5th, Dorian wandered north and the eye wall briefly touched a tiny barrier island just north of Bald Head, North Carolina, called No Name Island. Was this the military's way of letting us know we survived this battle and the good guys won? Red October. I'm going to go ahead and just throw this one out for you guys to chew on. When I read through this thread, I thought, wow, this is pretty incredible. But it is something that you have to take into account and take it with a grain of salt, because what's done is done. And whatever actually did happen, we thank God that it didn't make a direct impact. Obviously, we pray for the people in the Bahamas and everyone else affected by this terrible storm. But I just thought I'd share that with you guys. We gotta keep looking at these things. Obviously, thank you to 3 Days, 3 Nights for their thread here, and share this information. Do your research. Any anons out there watching, dig deeper, see what you can find. I think this is definitely a story worth looking closer at. But With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. A few more things before we go. Come here, watch these videos, share them on my social media, hit the subscribe button if you haven't, and leave your thoughts, theories, and insights below. I want to hear what you guys have to say about everything that we just talked about here on the channel today. Also, be brave. Download the Brave browser. There'll be a link in the description. It's a win-win situation. What is Brave browser? If you're using Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox or Internet Explorer, you are getting bombarded with ads every time you go anywhere, right? Barely can go into a news website without having multiple pop-ups jump into the browser, and you can barely read the article. Sometimes you got to scroll down halfway just to get to the first line of the article itself. Well, with Brave browser, you don't have to do that. And why? Because it blocks the ads. So use the link in the description, download the Brave browser, you install it just like you would any other internet browser, and you use it, and it blocks the ads, and they'll make a contribution to Just Informed Talk. And every time you visit the YouTube channel through the Brave browser, they'll also make a contribution. So it's definitely a win-win. It's a product that I love, and I love telling you guys about. So go check that out. Now, also, don't forget to go check out JUSTINFORMEDNEWS.com, official website for Just Informed Talk. Links to the Q stuff, different news websites, different articles here, breaking news, and of course, the latest videos from the channel. It's a good source for you guys to go check out. And check me out on Just Inform You, at Just Inform You on Twitter. It's the official Just Informed Talk Twitter page, at Just Inform You. Links to everything will be in the description. A couple other ways you can help out the channel are both financial. Come over here and you can support me on Patreon, patreon.com. It's a crowdfunding website. All you do is use the link in the description. Come here, click this button to become a patron. It's a monthly donation. You set it and forget it. YouTube has decided to come after this channel in the back end. I know you guys are definitely not seeing any ads on this, on these videos anymore. And if you are, somebody please tell me, because YouTube's taken all the advertising away, which means they've taken all the monetization pretty much away. And you guys are what keep this channel alive. All you have to do, like I said, it's a monthly donation. You sign up and know you're helping create content on this channel. I also have a GoFundMe set up. If you want to make a one-time or anonymous donation, thank you to everybody who supports the channel. And just a little heads up, if you guys go check out DonaldJTrump.com, he basically always is trolling at master level. And one of his new products is the Donald J. Trump Fine Point Marker. Because of all the hoopla that the media has done about this Sharpie incident, and I just thought I'd point that out. And go check out DonaldJTrump.com. Support the re-election effort. That's the official website. So go check that out too. Now, before we go, we do a segment at the end of each one of these episodes called God's Grace is Greater, where we talk about God's grace and how it is truly greater. Today, I'm going to talk about diversity of spiritual gifts. Now, I want to share a piece of scripture. It's out of 1 Corinthians chapter 12, verse 4 through 10 or 11. And it talks about how we all have different gifts, but we're all given these gifts by the same God. And I want to share this message with you. It says, now there are different gifts, but the same Spirit. There are different ministries, but the same Lord. And there are different activities, but the same God is active in everyone and everything. A manifestation of the Spirit is given to each person to produce what is beneficial. To one is given a message of wisdom through the Spirit. To another, a message of knowledge by the same Spirit. To another, faith by the same Spirit. To another, gifts of healing by the one Spirit. To another, the performing of miracles. To another, prophecy. To another, distinguishing between spirits. To another, different kinds of languages. To another, interpretation of languages. But one and the same Spirit is active in all these, distributing to each one as He wills. So, why do I bring that up? Well, I just want to remind everyone out there that we can all do our part to help make this world a better place. And as much as we do talk about these troubling topics here on the channel, I want to remind you that it's all going to be okay. And you say, well, how can you say that after all the stuff you just reported on? I can say it because it tells us that in the good book. God tells us that everything's going to be all right, and that we all have these different gifts that we can use to make the world a better place. So I want to remind you guys, as troubling as these times may seem, take the gifts that God gives you and use them to make the world better. Now, we might not be able to stop all the evil in the world, but we can do little things here and there. And if we can help the least among us, then that's what we're called to do. So I'm asking you to remember that we're all given a different gift from God, but each one of us has been given gifts, and the Holy Spirit lives in each and every one of us. And if you're not sure how you're going to help the world or what your gift is, I got a little secret for you. There's a real way you can figure that out. Open your heart and say a prayer. Reach out to God. Ask Him for guidance and courage and strength and wisdom and knowledge in how you should be and how you can help. Because God will always be there for you, and that's the first step. So that's where I'm going to go ahead and leave it. And I'm going to say thank you guys for watching. Come here, click the big red subscribe button if you haven't. Make sure you hit it, headbutt it, karate kick it, whatever. Hit the like button if you guys like this content and want to see me make more. That's going to be it for me. Thanks for watching this episode of Just Informed Talk. My name is Craig. Godspeed and God bless each and every one of you, Patriots.